Hi, I'm Doug with theworks1022.com, and I know that one of the modifications everybody's doing is putting a trigger in their 1022, and sometimes I know, like whenever I first started working on my 1022, first one, it was hard to get the trigger back in when you were cleaning it. So, and guys are doing a lot of trigger kits these days, so I wanted to show you a little trick about making a sub-assembly out of the trigger parts here, the sear, the disconnect, and the sear spring and the trigger. So what you want to do is, you got the sear spring here, and it's got a tapered end and a regular straight end. Let me see if I can get this to come in for us here. You see that that's a tapered end and a straight end. See the difference there? So you want to take the tapered end and make sure that that's up on the sear whenever you install it. So we insert the regular end with the tapered end up in the sear. Let's go ahead and put the disconnect. This is the pocket that you're going to have the sear spring riding in whenever you put this together. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the trigger. Got to line up the hole there. Get that in. Now, whenever you want to insert the sear, go ahead and put your finger on the back here, and that'll open it up so that you can insert the sear a little bit easier. Whenever you do marry up these two pieces, make sure that that sear spring pops into that little pocket that's in the disconnect. Now here's the part I really wanted to show you here is to make this a sub-assembly. I'm going to make a little pin that'll hold all this together whenever you drop it into the trigger group. And most guys have weed whacker line around the garage, so I'm going to show you how to make this out of weed whack line. First of all, you want to taper the end of it, the weed whack line, a little bit so that it'll slide out the other side through the trigger group a little bit easier without getting hung up. This material is 0.95 95 thousandths. It's just round weed whack material, and the actual pin size is, the actual trigger pin is 123 thousandths. So there is a little bit of a difference here. If you you know, have a big commercial weed whacker that has a bigger line, maybe you could use it up to 123 thousandths. But anyway, we're going to taper this off a little bit so it doesn't hang up going through the other side. So you're going to use this to hold this whole thing together as you drop it in the trigger group. So if you can push down here, or you can just push in to get that hole kind of lined up a little bit. So there it is, coming out the other side. So I'm going to make it pretty much even with the far side. Take my Sharpie and make a mark on this side. As you can see, there's the mark, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it a little bit short of that. I've already got one cut over here, and so what we're going to do is shove that in. There's the tapered end that I did. Just kind of tapered it up a little bit so that it would push through the other side whenever I go to use the actual pin to push this out. Because I'm going to drop this in the trigger group, and right now it's a sub-assembly. So it's very easy for you to drop into the trigger group, line up the pinhole, and you can see it real easy with the orange in there, and then just push this pin all the way through. So as you drop it in the trigger group, you're going to put the trigger return spring in first. That would be this item. Then you're going to drop this whole assembly in, move it around, line it up with the hole, and push the pin through. And that'll push this pin all the way through the other side and capture the whole thing. So it makes it a lot easier rather than fumbling around with all the parts and stuff in there. Works out real well. Then I wanted to show you another little item that I take into the field with me. I shoot a lot of cheap Plinken ammo, and I get a lot of crud built up here in the cartridge recess and the bolt. And I made this little tool. This is 45,000 spring wire, just bent over on the end. I shoved it in a dowel and put a little shellac on it. And you could probably use the dental pick same way out in the field, but they're pretty long. This one's actually pretty small still. And again, all I do is use this to clean out. I'll lock the bolt back, go through the magazine well, and clean out this recess area, the very back corners of it, because it gets quite a bit of material locked up in there as you're shooting, box or two. These things are pretty dirty, and what'll happen is you'll get a bolt build up back there, and it'll make it to where your extractor claw isn't really getting a good grip on your brass. So one thing you might want to do is keep that area clean a little bit better with one of these in the field. The other thing is, if you guys have gone for the high performance bolt where it's cut back to another head space, then you really need to keep this clean, because there's not much room between the back of this thing and the breech face. So it would really make a big difference in your performance if you've had the front of this shaved off, front of the bolt for headspace. The other thing I wanted to show you while we got the weed whacker line out is I pretty much made a little improvised field cleaning kit out of weed whack line here. What I did was, on the electric stove, I just melted down the end of this and pushed it out to where it was about the same size as the spent 22 shell. See, it'll just go in there. And then all I did was, I got about 2 foot of material here. Then all I did was go ahead and cut the end of it at a pretty sharp angle. This material's pretty stout, and very easily can you just push it through a patch. And all you do is bring it all the way down to the other end, just like this one here, and shove it in, lock the bolt back, shove it in the breech face, the barrel, and pull it out the other end from the muzzle end. And that'll keep your rifle clean every couple hundred rounds or so in the field, and it's very easy to make. Most guys have this stuff around, and if you don't want to carry any patches, just poke a bunch of them on here, take them off whenever you get to where you're going, put them in your pocket, and use one to clean the rifle every so many rounds. A lot of times I'll go out and shoot 1,000 rounds a day, no problem, or 500 rounds, and just some plinking. So it's good to keep the rifle clean and clean that bolt face. This thing's pretty easy to make, or even get a dental pick and cut it off. So those ought to help you. That's about it. Just wanted to make sure that you saw how to make this trigger subassembly.